Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Dakota. Today we're diving into Estee Lauder's latest update, and let's just say they're doing some serious tidying up to get their profits back on track. You know, Estee Lauder, the beauty giant behind brands like Matte Clinique and of course their namesake line Estee Lauder, they've been facing some headwinds lately. As many consumer companies have, this filing is an amended report, meaning they're updating us on changes to their previously announced restructuring plan. The big story here is a significant expansion of their cost-cutting and efficiency efforts to boost those profit margins. Back in November of 2023, they announced something called the Profit Recovery and Growth Plan, or PRGP. The whole idea was to slowly but surely rebuild their profits over the next couple of years, fiscal years 2025 and 2026. They wanted to get their profit margins back up, improve their cost structure, and become a faster, more adaptable company. Think of it like a deep clean for the business. In February of 2024, they actually shared the first details of a restructuring program as part of this PRGP. At that time, they expected to take charges somewhere between $500 million and $700 million before taxes. They couldn't give us exact numbers on how much would be for each type of cost or how much cash would actually be spent. Now, here's where it gets interesting. They've since expanded this plan. On February 4, 2025, following even more review, they announced an expansion of the PRGP. This expansion is focused on three main areas. First, they're getting more aggressive with how they buy things from suppliers, consolidating their spending and reevaluating those big supplier deals. Second, they're aiming for zero waste in their supply chain, trying to get better at predicting demand and planning new products to avoid excess inventory and waste. And third, they're outsourcing some services to outside companies that specialize in them. This expanded restructuring program started in their fiscal 2025 third quarter, and they expect to finish approving all the pieces by the end of fiscal 2026, with most things wrapped up by the end of fiscal 2027. The original goals of reorganizing and simplifying things are still there, but now they've added this focus on outsourcing and changing how they sell their products, which they call the evolution of go-to-market footprint and selling models. Because of this expansion, the total expected charges for this restructuring program, which they now call the restructuring program, have gone up significantly. They now expect charges to be between $1.2 billion and $1.6 billion before taxes. This particular report is an amendment to an earlier filing, and the reason is to give us an update on new initiatives that were approved in the time since their last report on April 24, 2025. So what are these new initiatives that were approved since April 2025? First, we have value chain optimization. This means they're streamlining their supply chain and research and development teams by reducing layers of management and making sure they have the right number of people. This will mainly mean cutting jobs through employee severance. Next is enabling function reinvention. This involves reorganizing and right-sizing various departments at the company's headquarters. Again, this primarily means cutting jobs through severance. Then there's the future of brand-led model. They're redesigning how their marketing, creative, and other brand-related teams are structured to make them leaner, quicker, and more agile. And yes, this also means more job cuts through employee severance. Finally, they've also approved extra costs to keep their project management office running. This includes paying internal staff dedicated to project management and hiring consultants to help them plan and execute these big changes. So cumulatively, for all the initiatives approved since the restructuring program started up until July 30, 2025, they expect to record around $47 million in charges before taxes. Most of these charges will eventually be paid for with cash from operations. Let's look at the numbers that break this down. Through April 24, 2025, the company had approved cumulative charges totaling $628 million, was categorized as operating expenses, which likely includes a big chunk of those severance costs we just talked about. Then between April, $25 million in charges, bringing the total cumulative charges approved ex mente 25 to $47 million, and charges bringing the total cumulative charges approved through July 30, 2025, and July 30, 2025, the year will go into 5th, 2025, and July 30, 2025, they approved an additional $124 million in charges, bringing the total cumulative charges approved through July 30, 2025. They approved an additional $124 million in charges, bringing the total cumulative charges approved through July 30, 2025 to $47 million. Breaking down those charges further, we see that a massive portion is related to employees. Back in April of 2025, employee-related costs were $449 million. By the end of July, they had approved another $90 million in employee-related cost, pushing that total to $539 million out of the $747 million total. This clearly shows that a big part of this restructuring is about reducing their workforce to become leaner. The rest of the costs are for things like asset-related costs, which could mean closing facilities or ending leases, contract terminations, and other exit costs are for things like asset-related costs, which could mean closing facilities or ending leases, contract terminations, and other exit costs. Estee Lauder says they will keep us updated if any other initiatives under this plan are large enough to warrant further disclosure. They'll file these updates when they have a clearer picture of the cost involved and how much cash will be spent. Now, the company does mention that these plans involve some risks and uncertainties. Things like the global economy, changes in what customers and retailers want, competition, and their own ability to carry out their planned strategies could affect the actual results. They're essentially saying that while this is their plan, things could still change. And finally, the report includes standard exhibit information, which in this case is just the interactive data file. Signing off on this report is Akhil Shrivastava, their Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. So what's our take on all this? Estee Lauder is clearly in a period of significant transformation. The expansion of their profit recovery and growth plan and the increased restructuring charges signal a serious effort to right-size the business and get back to stronger profitability. The heavy emphasis on employee-related costs highlights a focus on workforce reduction as a key lever for cost savings and improving efficiency. This isn't just tweaking around the edges, it's a substantial overhaul. While the goal is to improve margins and become more agile, the sheer scale of the planned charges and job reductions indicates the scale of the challenges they've been facing. The major risk for Estee Lauder here is execution. Can they actually achieve these cost savings and efficiency improvements without damaging their brands, their innovation pipeline, or their ability to connect with consumers? The beauty market is highly competitive and consumers are always looking for the next big thing or a better deal. If these restructuring efforts impact their product development or marketing too severely, it could backfire. On the other hand, if they successfully streamline their operations and reduce overhead, it could make them much more resilient and profitable in the long run. The increased outsourcing also brings its own set of risks related to quality control and partner reliability. In conclusion, Estee Lauder is taking decisive action to rebuild its profitability. The numbers show they are serious about cutting costs and streamlining operations. The key will be to watch if these changes translate into sustainable sales growth and improved financial performance without alienating their customer base or losing their competitive edge. It's a balancing act for sure. What do you think about Estee Lauder's aggressive restructuring plans? Are they cutting deep enough? Should they be focusing more on innovation or cost cutting? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe to Corporate Dakota for more in-depth financial analysis. And don't forget to join our Discord community for even more discussions. It's linked in the description. Thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next one.